Logging into Sentral to mark your roll on a period-by-period basis. First of all, you need to go to the Sentral website. The address is web2.coffs-h.schools.nsw.edu.au, or there is a link to the Sentral website from our school's homepage. Once you get there, you need to supply a username and password. The username you use is your DET portal username, with the password being your DET portal password. If you do not know your DET username and password, you need to either go and see Gary Lyon or Simon Borgett to get that reassigned to you. Once you have logged in, you'll see a screen that looks like this. The first thing you need to identify is that you've got your name up in the top right hand corner here, a thing about messages, and you'll see in the middle of the screen are notices, and this is where we'll be posting notices on a day-by-day basis and also a bulletin. The key thing you need to be aware of in Sentral is there's always more than one way of actually accessing information. So you'll see over on the right hand side here I've got my recently used modules. But if I want to access anything, I can always pull down this drop down menu in the top left hand corner, and that gives me a whole heap of different options. The one we need to do our period by period roll marking is PXP roles. Click on that and you'll be taken to a new screen. Now, because you are marking these roles via reverse proxy, i.e. remotely on the internet, the first time you log on any computer, you'll need to provide a username and password. Now, I'm not going to say what the password is, but the username is web, and the password has been distributed to all staff members. And if you tick the remember my credentials, that'll allow us to get in. Once we've got into our period by period roll marking, you'll get a screen that allows you to search for timetables. Now, the first time once again you use this on a particular computer, there won't be anything over on the right hand side under my recent teacher roles or my recent classes, and that will allow you to mark your roles a lot more easily in the future. So you can choose to either search by students or teachers, and obviously in this case we want to search by teacher, so I'm going to put in my name and search, and there's no results fine, so just put in your last name and it comes up with my teacher name, and that's my timetable for the first week of term 2. Now, the thing you need to be aware of in Sentral is you cannot mark roles in the future. So I'm actually going to go back for the purposes of this demonstration to term 1. So you can see I can navigate quite easily by using the little arrow keys at the top of the page. Now, if you believe your timetable as shown in Sentral is wrong, you need to let me know, because it's pulling this straight from time chart. So let's say I want to mark the period 2 roll for Tuesday the 3rd of April. I simply click on that roll and I come up with a list of all the students. Now, these are the students as taken from our time chart lists. So once again, if there is an issue and there are students in the class that you don't believe should be there, or there are students who are not in the right class, and I can see one straight away, you need to let me know so that I can change that in time chart. So now to mark the roll, you'll see the first column is actually what will happen from our R&R roll marking, which will be the subject of a different video. And that tells us that all those students were present in that day. If they had been marked as absent in R&R, it would come up there showing that they were absent for that period. So you get a bit of an idea of what to expect as far as your students that should be in your class. It comes over, you can also see whether they were marked, whether the roll had been marked for period 1 and whether or not the students were actually in that class. To mark a particular student as present or absent, you simply select the box in which the student is, and by default students are marked as being present. So are they absent, were they late, or did they leave early? So if they're absent, simply check the absent box and click OK, and that automatically marks that student as absent. A couple of other things you might like to do as well is, let's say was not in uniform, I can click on her and say that she wasn't in uniform. And if I wish to make a note, I could say not in uniform again. And save that. And that allows me to save, and that information is all recorded. If you make a mistake, you can always go back into the past and change your role. Once you've marked your whole class's roles, and remember, by default the students are present, so you have to actually mark them as being absent. And when we have excursions and so on, if they've been marked as absent or absent with leave in R&R because they're on an excursion, then that will reflect through into your role, so you won't have to mark them as absent on that day. Once you've marked your role, you can submit it. If you want, you can cancel the class, which is what you would do if there was, for whatever reason, no class on that particular day. Click submit, and it gives you a little message saying once a role has been submitted, any further changes will be logged in the system. Is that okay? Click OK, and you've marked your role. If you want to then take a report on your class's attendance and see who is actually coming, and that can be very handy for purposes of N award warning letters and so on, you can create a class attendance report up in the top right hand corner, and you can see all bar Stephanie have been there every single day. And if you wish to print a roll sheet, if for example you're heading off somewhere and you want to actually have a copy of that, you can choose print a roll sheet and choose whether or not you want to show it or save it, that particular roll. And that will actually produce a roll that's for the entire week, I think. Yep, so that's the roll for that class for the entire week. And that can be handy if you have to mark your roll and then enter it into Sentral later on. Hopefully that should allow you to mark your roles. So once again, from the home page, from the dashboard menu, the first one you get into, the easiest way to go in is over in this top left hand corner, PXP roles. Alternatively, because it's one of my recently used modules, I could go in from that recently used modules section. And you'll see that now I've marked a couple of roles. I don't actually even need to search for it anymore. I can simply click on my name, and that will bring up my timetable, or I can click on 11MG1, and that will bring up all the instances of that class in a particular week, and you can mark the role from there. So as I said, lots of different ways in which you can mark the roles, and I hope you'll have fun learning how to use Sentral.